What were you saying, Mike?
Orlando. What was it? Mission to Millions.
That was fun.
That house was cool. Had like tons of bedrooms, but it was like wide and had a huge kitchen. Your house, Walter, is from the outside is like narrow. You're like looking at it saying, okay, it's just a townhouse. But when you go in there, it has like 5 bedrooms. It's insane. It's huge.
6 bedrooms, but who's counting?
6. Yeah. How are there 2 on the first floor?
There's 1 on the first floor, then there's 5 upstairs.
5 upstairs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Then you got there's like a living room
Yeah,
upstairs.
it's just like the one in Orlando, Mitch. There's like a foyer with a couch.
Yeah.
But it's not as big as the one in Orlando.
No.
But
Orlando is 12 bedrooms. That was a 12-bedroom house. That was 6,000 square feet.
Holy
yeah.
shit.
This is a humble 3,000 square foot house.
And it had a hot pool.
Yeah, right. Hot pool.
Yo, we turned the hot tub into the pool.
You got a hot pool.
When the hot tub is broken, you get a hot pool and realize it actually is pretty epic.
Welcome back to the 100 Millionaires Podcast. My name is Walter Murillo. I'm hanging out with Mitch and Mike. Michael Shine, bring us in, brother.
Massive income from passive income. Woohoo!
And Mitch Dorsky, how do we get that massive income?
We
That's all I got.
organize and we collect.
So we've been talking about the Roatan trip and how people, when you're going to expand your business, like people are like, oh, how could you expand your business from somewhere else? Truth is, it's a lot easier to expand your business from somewhere else. If you're in it, you end up being in it. You end up being a part of like a cog in the wheel. So you end up not removing systems. You never end up not putting things into place. And then
just a job.
You can't scale. So like your company ends up being like, oh, I can't find good people. It's just because you haven't documented your stuff well. So Mike, tell us a little bit about like what you're doing this week. You're finally, everything's packed up, everything's set to go, and you're doing
everything
like
is not packed up. Everything's not packed up, but thanks for your confidence in me. I appreciate that. But I will take a step back. So one of the books that's in the 52 Weeks of Wealth every Saturday at 10 a.m. Go to alchemistnation.com.
Click the link in the bio.
Yeah, right. There's one of the books that we read is the E-Myth Revisited, and by Michael Gerber. And that book really had an impact on me because it talked about working on your business instead of in your business. And like Walter, like you were just saying, you end up with a job, not a business. You end up buying a job and you're stuck with that job, and it's like a ball and chain, and you can get to a certain level, but to get to the levels that we want to get to, you really need to remove yourself from that business. And like you said, create systems. So that book really had a major effect. And so part of Roatan for me, or most of it, is to remove myself from the day-to-day, but still be in communication with my staff and work on growing the business and scaling the business. So that's the game plan.
I had to do the same thing in 2018 when I was scaling up the real estate agency. I realized like people could knock on my door every day, like just walk into my office. Like I was such a pivotal, like key component to the business that I was like, I've got to get out of here just to see if things run without me and see like where the blind spots are, see where the challenges are. And when I moved to Las Vegas, I had 3 months out there and I was doing Zoom calls once a week to, be energy for the team, as I still ran my training program. But then everybody did what they were doing. I had Ron and my mother were there as managers in the office, and things were running smoothly. I had my assistant there, and like the only thing I noticed was recruiting slowed down. Like that was the one thing that slowed down, was I hadn't put a recruiter in place. So, with agency, if you're not constantly recruiting, you're eventually losing people. So like that was the one thing that I noticed was, I just hadn't put a recruiter in place. So when I came back, I put a recruiter in place.
Yeah. So I did the same thing. I was sitting there saying, to take myself out of the business, what are the 2 components that I do? And I said, well, even though I went to law school to be a lawyer, I ended up being a salesperson. I'm the one who's bringing in the title. So I said, I got to get a salesperson. And thanks to your help, Walter, the first person I called was a lender, and that lender said to me that he would love to sell title. And then the other side was, oh man, they see my face at the closings. People are going to be, how could they do a closing without Mike Shine actually showing up? what that was my thought. And just hired Paula Miller, who's a great attorney, Massachusetts, and so she can do the closings. She's waiting for her results in Rhode Island, but she also has her notary in Rhode Island. So those two things, just like you said, getting a recruiter. I've got a salesperson out there, and I got someone doing the closing. And it's really, since Paul has come on like 3 weeks ago, it's really allowed me to more focus on where the business is going, growing the Florida stuff, growing the Massachusetts and Rhode Island leads, and also getting licensed with Alchemist title in the states that we're starting in. So it's already happening. I haven't left. I'm sitting here in North Kingstown, but I'm already working on my business instead of in my business, and it's making a world of difference. Because if I had to jump off to go do a closing right now, which
that used to be how you do it every
Yep.
day. You used to be known as the traveling attorney instead
Yep.
of the closer, right? Because the closer doesn't have to be there, right? The closer
Right.
makes sure that it closes, but the traveling
Right.
attorney is like traveling from closing to closing. So
Right. Yeah. And I also think that it's you just have to work with customers' expectations, because if they know that you're running it and you're in the background and they can always reach you on your phone and that kind of stuff. After COVID, nobody cares who's in the office and not. I mean, I'm at home right now. And since COVID, I do most of my work right here at home. I come into the office to do closings, or I do, that's pretty much it. Do some stuff with my staff, but pretty much I could do everything here, even though I'm a mile away from my office. So why couldn't I do it in Roatan?
yeah, I'm excited about some of the tech components that we're bringing to Alchemist title. Some of the things that the mortgage
Yeah.
lenders have been asking for a little while. Automated title, like pricing and quotes and stuff. Like
Calculation.
there's
Yep.
some
Calculator.
really cool like tech side that's going to make it easier to work with Alchemist title. Than,
Taking a page out of the Mitch Jaworski calculator, Scaredy Cat calculator.
Yep.
I'm gonna have a title calculator so that mortgage people on the weekend, can get their numbers and submit those to their clients right away. So that's gonna be awesome.
It was funny because last year at Roatan, like we were just talking about how like getting away from the business kind of helps, and Mitch was kind of leading into this was like last year stepping away. I realized I had a lot of waste in my company, just a lot of waste of my time, like a lot of waste of my time, a lot of wasted projects, and we trimmed a lot of stuff. And one of the things that came out of that was the Millionaire Path. Like that was something I actually like. I've been thinking about it, I've been talking about it, but I finally like wrote it out in Roatan. Like, we were out there kayaking and stuff, and you're under the water, you're hanging out with barracudas, Mitch Jaworski's still paddling, a mile back, like coming over to hang out
The
with
rowing
us.
game was weak. And I hurt my shoulder again too. I'm like, crap, I hope I'm good in a month from now.
Mitch, there's a rowing machine at the gym, and I have been just hitting it because I'm like, I know the race
Really?
is coming. I
Nice
know the race
job.
is coming.
I'll be doing no rowing in Roatan.
Yeah, you can just do paddle boarding this time because we're in the West End, and there's Dave, the guy from Canada, who married a woman there, and they started a paddleboard company, and that's like a 5-minute walk from our house. So
Here's what I've learned. I clearly make more money on vacation than I do when I'm working. And I learned that years ago. Like I lived in Las Vegas. I made more money. I was living in Vegas from my Massachusetts business. I moved to Tampa. I'm making more money from my Massachusetts businesses than I've ever made my entire career. Been down here 2 years. And you're right, Mike. I got to take a vacation.
I'll add to that.
It's time to go to Roatan.
Before I started listening to all the self-help and, the books when I drive, I used to listen to sports radio, and I followed a guy, Jim Rome, who's not Jim Rohn, but Jim
Not
Rome.
the Jim Rohn, but Jim
Yeah.
Rome.
Jim Rome. But he always talked about when he went on vacation that he was going into his basement to go recharge his batteries. And I'm a real believer in that if you're go, I think you're the quality of your product, whatever that is, the way you think just suffers. And that to actually walk away from it, step away from it, really gives you more of a philosophical sense of where you're going, a 50,000 foot view. And some of the greatest ideas I've had are when I'm away from the business. Yeah.
I was talking to one of the richest guys in Fall River last week. We were just texting on Facebook. He messaged me, and like this guy is like a serial entrepreneur. He owns multiple businesses built in Fall River, but he's got them all over the place. He does trade shows. Like he's just a big player, but he's quiet. Like nobody knows like how big he is. But I've always modeled him. Like, you know, I used to hang out
I
with
love
one of
that.
his
I want to be
kids.
that guy.
Yeah, no, he's just
Incognito.
amazing. Like he's just an amazing guy. But he said, you got to get out of your city. He said, because he was watching one of my videos. He's like, I love what you said about you got to get out of your city so you can like learn other things, so you can make the money from somewhere else and bring it back. He said, like, people don't understand that in Fall River. They try to just, I'm going to open a little shop here in Fall River and make money from everybody in Fall River. It's like, dude, no, you have to go make money from somewhere else and bring it into the city in order to make big money. Otherwise, you're making, you know, 40, 50, 60, $70,000.
I have a kind of strange example of that. I used to play ultimate frisbee in Rhode Island, and I was at a certain level.
The little state of Rhode Island.
Yeah, and I was pretty good, but then I moved to California, and I was playing ultimate in Long Beach, and the level of ultimate between the people in California who play 12 months a year. When I came back to Rhode Island, I was crushing it. And it's like you said, you just learn so many different things when taking yourself out of your element. It's huge. I could totally see that with business. Yep.
So like the problem with most businesses is that they think that they are actually own a business when they don't. They're actually self-employed and they're an employee in their job.
Read the E-Myth. Read the E-Myth.
It literally is the E-Myth. Like we're spinning a lot of E-Myth right now because that's the truth of it. Like they're like, oh, I'm a business owner. No, you aren't. Like, no, you aren't. Like, I know you're not. Every real estate agent is like, I own my own business. No, you freaking don't. Like you're just a technician. You're just a licensed professional. That's all. You're a technician. Yes, a licensed professional. You get your license. You can sell real estate. Congratulations. You got a job. With that, you know, there are no leads. Like you got to go market and you got to go sell. So you're self-employed. That's it. Once you shift over to saying this business runs without me, you got to make that mindset. You got to go on vacation. Like you literally have to take a vacation from your job and your self-employed business. And then you start looking at it and say, okay, like what's not running without me right now? And how do I put a system in place? Who do I hire?
If people don't know, the E-Myth is the myth of the entrepreneur, that the person
Entrepreneur myth.
They think that because they know how to make a widget or they're a realtor or whatever, that they can run a business. And that's just not
I can
true.
hammer a hammer, so I should be a property manager. Right. I got my real estate license. I should be a property manager. It happens.
Well, like, and it goes back to like, you know, the fundamental part of it is you're an employee, you're doing something, you're really good at it, and you're just like, this is ridiculous. I should be making more money. Why am I making money for someone else? And then you go and start a business when all you do is actually create 5 more jobs for yourselves, because now you're doing the thing you did that you're good at, but now you also need to acquire clients, do, you know, handle invoicing, blah, blah. And it's like, wait a second, why am I working 24/7? It's like, because you built yourself a job.
Yeah, I had a lawyer in the office when I was in Richmond Square a long time ago, and we happened to be in the bathroom one time. And I'm like, how's it going? He did like personal injury, like mesothelioma.
This story is getting weird already. Why are we going to the bathroom to find
out?
Out
because we were different.
Yeah.
Chest pains in the bathroom.
Just different lawyers just happened to meet in the communal bathroom. And I said, how are things going? And he's like, you know, I love my practice, but management of people, that was not, you know, he just wanted to be asbestos attorney and help people who were dying from asbestos. But now, just like we said, it's a myth. And he's not doing that. He's managing paralegals who had issues like, thankfully, I have like amazing paralegals, but he had issues that were all the time. And he never expected that to be part of his business. It's all systems. Just to jump on that, in the E-Myth, they talk about McDonald's and the fact that if you have 5,000 outlets, you're not going to be making the Big Mac in Rhode Island or the Big Mac in California. You just can't. So he says, think of your business as having 5,000 outlets. How would you arrange your business differently? And ever since I read that book, 52 Weeks of Wealth, thank you, God. I always think of my business that way. I think of my business as if there were 5,000 outlets, what would I be doing? And it wouldn't be me doing the closings. It's just as simple as that. And it wouldn't be me doing the sales. Simple as that.
Yeah, I like it because we started doing that with Alchemist Nation. We started saying there's 300 major cities that we're not in, right? Like there's 2 major cities we're in effectively doing things. And then there's 298 major cities that we're not in, with, populations over 100,000. And I said, okay, like if my goal is to have massive impact, it can't be Gibraltar, because Gibraltar can't be in 300 locations at once. And there's only 365 days a year. So even if I was able to nail one of those venues or one of those events per year, I'd still be only able to do that one time. And you need to have weekly events, you need to have monthly events in order to build strong community. So we started realizing, like, we have to have 300 times 12 monthly, like big events, like events that are happening every single month. So it's, 3 times 12 is 3,600 events happening throughout the year, plus the weeklies. That's 3 times 52, 300 times 52. That's 15,000 Zooms that are happening. I can't do that. Like, it's impossible. So as we started looking at the company, the way it was structured, like, there was a challenge with having massive impact. And the challenge was, we need to find our 300 leaders, those 300 millionaires who are inspired to build millionaires, right? So it's this times 3. And when I started looking at it that way, suddenly, like, I was able to start pulling myself out of things. Like, that's where it was like, wow, the only thing I belong doing is the Saturday call, like main content, like main driving content, and then focus my attention to solely helping community builders, like solely focusing on those people who have an audience, who are looking to improve their audience's lives and are looking to build millionaires through, like, turn their audience into millionaires. Like, that's it.
There's a guy out there from Australia. His name is Chris Duncan, and he's got the magnetic mind, sort of like Tony Robbins type stuff. But what I noticed is he's he's a little bit more mellow. He's really good. Anyways, Chris Duncan, check him out. But I noticed that when Brenda signed up for that program, that there were people underneath him. So there were like daily calls that she would jump on. They would actually be live calls. But he's like maybe one step ahead of Alchemist Nation. He's got the people in place so that. But yeah, maybe
just one step. I like that, Mike. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, one step. But he has these people, so they're like qualified people underneath Chris. I mean, you see Chris on all the ads and stuff, and he talks. But when you go to one of these things, there are other people, and it's not the fact that there are other people, but these other people are really, really good. So it's not like when you sit there and you say, "Oh, it's not Chris Duncan. I got this person who doesn't know what they're doing." These people, Brenda's like, "Oh my God, I'm so inspired by this woman who was on there this morning." That's amazing. So you don't need.
That's what I'm loving.
Yeah.
Like, I look at the RIAs. I got 86 RIAs across the country. I'm friends with all the RIA leaders, so I'm donating a lot of time with them, helping them build their businesses, and that's a section. But it's the other 220 spots that don't have a RIA in place. And I'm like, well, who's going to step up and start a RIA in these, smaller major cities? Like, it has to, like, that's up to me to go and find those people. They're probably already there running events, but they're probably not structured properly. So they're not profitable enough, or they're not drawing a big enough room, or they're not actually impacting the lives of their people. Some of those events are just schmucks who are just like, hey, come work with me. So we've got to shift some of those out and put the right people in place so that lives are.
That's a great
impacted.
example of taking yourself out of a job. So who's running that for you? Like, you're not.
So that,
I know you're friends with them, but how do you chase? Is that like Andrew, or is that like Darina, or is that a VA, or like?
So for everybody who's listening right now, if you'd like to inspire millionaires to build millionaires,
because I know
click
we
the link
did,
in my bio.
I know we did that like a year ago, where Darina was sending us all like, you're the regional director of the meetup in New England, and
I remember those days.
Yeah, but
we had the idea, we just didn't implement properly. So
well, no, it was a good idea. I mean,
I thought it was a great idea.
I forgot to ask for a salary.
Right. And that was where we started realizing it had to be likely real estate agents. If it's a real estate agent in that state, they're going to love it, because now they can run, 10 different groups that are all paying them a referral. So like, that actually makes a lot more sense.
How do they make
didn't set it up right.
How do they make money on that? Like a realtor. So
we're running real estate investment groups. So you figure everybody in that room is a buyer of real estate. They want to be anyway. So they're ready to buy real estate. And You're showing them how to buy real estate. You're showing them how to get the money, how insurance works, like how deals work, how to find deals. So,
And they're
then-
standing in the room and they're the authority, so people come to them for their real estate needs.
who else are you gonna work with other than the
Yeah.
guy at the front of the room?
Yeah, who
Like,
spends
obviously.
all that time, giving all that time to you for free. That's brilliant.
Yeah. There's a guy here in Tampa who crushes it. His name's Greg Simpson. He runs Out Fast Realty, and he just delivers value every month, delivers value. Like, doesn't sell anything from stage. Like, it's all about delivering value, but he
Yeah.
runs the brokerage. So all of his people, when they're finally going to buy something, who are they going to work with? They're going to work with the guy who's been giving value this, entire year or 6 months or 3 months, however long they've been in the RIA.
Gotcha.
And
So
his
the
team
RIAs
crushes it.
So that's one that crushes it. So what are the RIAs doing that don't crush it? Like, say you go to like Indiana and the guy doesn't know anything. What are they like? What are they doing? You know?
One, they charge a fee at the door, right? They don't charge a fee at the door. You want them in the door to get to know you. So if you're stopping them before they get there, like, one, that's a flaw. The other one is they charge a membership that's like $100, $200, that, annual membership, that for somebody new who doesn't know anything about real estate seems like a lot of money. So eliminate that. Like, stop stopping them. And then the other thing they don't do is they don't follow up. They don't, like, they get the phone number and the email of a person, and then they do nothing with it. There's no form sent out. Hey, what's your experience in real estate? What are your goals? How are you looking to, move forward? What would you like to do? Do you want to retire? Do you want to build net worth? Like, what are you looking at? So they don't learn about their community. So they're just not building community. And then they only do a live event that is speak from stage, sell. Like everybody sits in the room and now we're going to sell to you. The ones that are crushing it are running networking events with a little bit of speaking, and then they have sponsors in the room that aren't standing in front of the room being like, hey, I'm the real estate attorney. Well, I'm the mortgage lender. I'm the insurance guy. Instead, they're like, hey, here's a deal that I just did with a guy this week. Right.
Smart.
And, so they kind of highlight the sponsors in a unique way, not all at once. Like, it's just, hey, this is, these guys actually did a deal, highlight 2 sponsors at once with a client in the room, like with one of the realtors in the room, like real stories. Kind of like you hear on the radio now, the guy's like, hey, I went down to the Sally's Burger Shop last week and it was delicious. Whatever.
Yeah.
So like,
That's
real
cool.
They do some real, it's just real, Mike. They make the communities real. Then they do virtual events. They're doing a weekly virtual call that is unique. So like, everybody is like gathering again together virtually, way easier for small workshops.
Mhm.
And then they get to the networking event, and then every 2 months it's a actual training where something might be sold, versus that's kind of an overview structure of it. But they also run a podcast. Like, the successful ones are running podcasts about whatever's happening. Yeah. They highlight the vendors on that podcast, their
That's
sponsors.
a lot.
So they make a lot of their money on sponsorships, not on the people in the room. They make their money on the sponsorships. So
they have, wait a sec. So they have a podcast, they have a weekly Zoom. They have, how often are the networking events?
So the weekly Zoom is the podcast.
Oh, okay. The
Like
2
we do with the 52 Weeks to Wealth.
Yeah.
They do the same thing. They have their audience is in the room with them while they're interviewing somebody.
Oh, nice. That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of things you could do to build a community and monetize from it. The RIAs, the national RIAs, when they're doing poorly, are making around 100,000. When they're doing really well, they're making 350 to 450. So like,
Gotcha.
in between, you see them, they get 200,000, 300,000 a year from just running monthly events. That's really all they're doing, is just bringing people together and running events and building
When you
millionaires.
approach these ones that are kind of weak, what do you tell them you can do?
I honestly, I tell them the same, like what I just said. I'm like, hey, this is everything you're doing wrong, and this is everything we could do right. And they're like, well, what do you charge? I'm like, I'm not going to charge anything. Just let me speak on your stage once we've gotten you in good shape, right? Once a year, once we've gotten you in good shape, let me sell something. Let me sell something so valuable that your room's going to thank you for flying me in. And that's, so it's law of reciprocity. Look, I'll help you out. You help me out.
Yeah.
I love it.
Because they got no money, right? If I'm talking to them, they're struggling. So if they're like, hey, help me out, like, they're struggling. So
Yeah.
The networking is so key too with those RIAs. I mean, there was a period of time where I was going to everything down here, and then I started like weeding out, what I wanted to be at. And I realized like the only ones I kept going to were the ones that allowed me to also network. So like we go and generally be able to network like the first hour, and then there would be, someone would present, and a lot of times, have something to sell, which was fine because it was, whatever it was different person every month, whether it was note investing, whether it was,
Right.
anything, flipping houses. Like I learned a lot. Like, they spoke, they added value, and then they did sell a program. But like, even like we had a guy that, came and talked about flips years ago. He gave us like his order, like the blueprint of like, this is what you attack when you're doing a flip, and this is the order you do it in. And I've been using that ever since. He actually spoke a few times over the years. So it's a happy medium, because those where you just show up, sit down, listen, get pitched, go home. Miserable.
Yeah. I actually met you, Walter, at the Rhode Island RIA, where that's the format. They have a beginner class, then they have a 20-minute break where all the sponsors can just give you what they do, a quick 6 elevator pitch. Then they had the main person, which same idea, notes, private lending, HUD, fair housing, anything.
I once did mixed use. I recall I spoke on mixed use properties.
Nice job. And then afterwards, the head of the group, used to be Rick, got up and said, after this is networking, and that's really the most important part of this whole thing. And yep.
Yeah. And we would network after, like before and after on a lot of them.
So we stayed till 10:30 that night. Nobody was leaving.
We were closers.
Yeah, that would happen a lot.
We close. We don't leave. We close.
We don't leave.
They kick us out. That's how it works. So 100 Millionaire Summit.
Actually, just as an aside, I actually think that when the number of people die down is when you start getting the best quality, because big crowded room, kind of bouncing around like a pinball, but when you get to those last few people, you can really have a nice conversation with them and get a sense of who they are. And if they're staying till 10 o'clock, you can also get a sense that they're as dedicated as you are to doing this. Either that or they don't like their family.
Either way, you'll know. You'll find out, hey, why are you sticking around so long? Because we've been having a great conversation, or I just don't want to go home.
Right, exactly.
Coming up October 21st to the 23rd, we've got the 100 Millionaires Summit. We're going to be networking. We're going to be in the room with players on players. And if you are afraid of getting out of your hometown, you should be more afraid of staying in your hometown. Get out, get some mindset shifts, get some space away from all the responsibilities, away from your business, and be able to get yourself in a position where you can scale it this year versus just showing up and making exactly what you made last year. If you made the same amount last year as you made this year, or a 10, 15% increase, something is wrong. You should be doubling your income, doubling your net worth every single year. And if you're not doing that, you're going to want to get into the room with us and let us show you how to double your income, show you how to double your net worth, and get to that millionaire status in the next 3 to 5 years.
From my perspective, it's the people in the room. I've said it a bunch of times. The Alchemist Nation, we're a community. We really care about each other, but then the value from the stage, just the lessons that are learned from all the coaches are just unbelievable. Walter, Terry, Doug, Vinny this year, Rod Cleef. All the stuff coming from the stage is super valuable. But then there's a community there that actually cares. And there's that whole know, like, and trust factor. I once you've been to the summit, you understand it, but till you've seen it, it's a community. It's amazing. It's a great place to be. So.
Just gonna have to trust us, Mitch. Yep. What has been your pitch? How have you been telling people about the summit?
Honestly, man, I go with the emotions and then what I really believe. So it depends on who I'm talking to. Every time it's different, but generally, the theme is, get in a room with a bunch of successful people.
Right.
Like there's going to be millionaires in that room that you're going to be rubbing shoulders with. And there's going to be a ton of future millionaires, right? In addition to the fact that just the value you're going to get from those that are speaking. So
lots of opportunities. There's
and that's the thing. There's going to be there's always plenty of networking. Like you may be sitting in the room, listening to people speak, but networking at lunch, networking at dinner, networking at night, like
never eat alone.
I've been in like 4 deals just because I'm part of Alchemist Nation, just because during those breaks, it might be a 15-minute bathroom break, or it might be like the Saturday night cocktail hour, but you end up talking to someone and you have no idea what they're working on. And then they say, wait, I'm working on this type of real estate. And you're like, wait a second, that's what I've always wanted to do. This is amazing. So
Yeah. And even
There's
just the
still-
friendships made, right?
Yep.
Like think about it, like, it's like, especially let's take someone that's like essentially like broke or broke-ish, right? And they got all broke friends with broke mindsets. It's like all of a sudden, wait, you connect with some people that are killing it. And it's like, next thing you know, you're hanging out with them regularly. It's like, wait, what is going on? Like they're super successful. And like,
Yeah.
so
And we
like,
don't let you get away with that broke mindset.
exactly. And that's the
We
thing.
throw book after book at you and we say,
Held
if you
accountable.
start
I mean,
saying something about being broke, we'll call you on it, but in
Yeah.
a loving, caring way.
I've personally, experienced it, over the last 2 or 3 years, just with our friendship and just even everyone else, people like Steve, Mel, like it's just it's awesome. Like listen, it goes back to, you're the average of the 5 people you spend most time with. So
Exactly.
if you want to level up, you also need to level up, your network.
Big
Yeah, you don't-
deals, big deals in those rooms too. There's the people who've been there like for 3 years are now leveling up. I know right now of one couple that's looking at over 100 units, and it's not a
150 units.
syndication.
Yep.
Yeah. So there's a lot of
And meanwhile, 2 years ago, we
Yeah.
were like, I remember directly talking to them. I did a call with them talking about like a 4 unit or something they were going after.
See?
Nope.
Yeah.
They've
Me, I'm up-
exploded. They're
I'm up-
rock stars.
I'm up to like 90 units right now, and also a couple of businesses because we've kind of shifted towards businesses are a good place to be, real
Yep.
estate and businesses, and it's all we all help one another. We're all friends now. Like it wasn't. These are now my friends, just like you were saying, Mitch. You meet people, you become friends with them. Like I didn't really have like broke friends with broke mindsets, but these are now my community and my tribe, and it's something I just found. It's awesome.
I've talked about this before. I've seen the difference now between like the guys I play basketball with and guys I grew up with. Like,
Yeah.
I'm lucky that generally I only have decent people around me in my life, but you can still be a good person and have a broke mindset. You know what I mean? Like, so there's a difference between, that entrepreneur and the way that mind works. And then like, the worker bee, and which is fine. Like be who you're going to be. Like some people are just workhorses. That's what they enjoy doing. And that's great. They make a great employee that I want to pay very well and treat very well,
Right.
but it's just like, it's tough to, level up when you're like, the black sheep, so to speak. And it's just like, you're thinking different than everyone else. Like, is it possible? Yes. But is it a tougher road? Probably. So,
I also think that I've noticed that because we have the 52 books and stuff like that, that it's not just a community of people, it's that we've read books. So if you're in a certain state where something's stopping you, we know, or somebody in that room is going to know the book. Like I always say the Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, that one T. Harv Eker, I tell that a lot. So you're not just getting, this is sounding salesy now, but you're not just.
No, I love it. I love it because you guys are on fire and like just being real. So this is cool.
Yeah. Well, it's a community, but it's also community backed by hundreds and hundreds of books. Like if I hear you saying something about a broke mindset, I'm going to recommend. I say, listen, T. Harv Eker's Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. You should really jump in. And people don't get offended when you say, "Oh my God, there's this amazing book by this guy. You should totally read it. I read it and it changed my life."
That is so true.
And we routinely rapid fire books, like whether it's like 4-Hour Work Week or Broke to $250,000 or
Today, the E-Myth.
Yeah, Wealthy Gardener,
Wealthy
or Terry's
Gardener.
book, Quit Taking Your Own Bad Advice, or if it's like Bitcoin, Scaredy Cat Guide to Bitcoin.
Or
all
Mitch's
those
book,
books,
yeah.
they're just, and this is just me reeling those off the top of my head, because like sometimes I'll be talking to a woman and I'll say, "Oh my God, you have to read You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero." And they're like, "Oh, I never even heard of Jen Sincero." And it's like, "Okay, I'm going to give you a book that's Scaredy Cat Guide to Investing."
If you're just getting started in real estate.
Yeah. And
The foundational 5, right? We get them in here.
There it
And
is.
right there. And even like You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero, I think that if you give that, especially to a woman, that book alone may change that person's life. I mean, may literally change that person's life. It changed Brenda's life. It's just, And that's
I
just
mean,
us giving one
You know,
book.
you and I both, you know, as men, we've listened to that book, and
Yeah.
I mean, that book is
Yeah.
so badass.
It is so
I
bad.
tell you, I got the calendar.
Nice.
That's cool.
I got the You're a Badass calendar.
Kim Rodriguez, she reads that every day. Let's read today. Today
What day is it
is the
today?
31st of August.
31st August.
We'll get you there.
All right. You know what? I'm going to put this downstairs in the living room, in the kitchen.
Nice.
31st of August. When it comes to changing your life, if you're not scared, you're doing something wrong.
Oh, I love that. I love
That's
that.
right.
I love that.
Be a scaredy cat.
That's so
All
awesome.
Get into
right,
crypto.
so
It
The
scares you.
Summit, October 21st through the 23rd, the Floridian Hotel in Orlando, Florida. We are going to be there. The Floridian Hotel, by the way, is cool. It's got a Starbucks. I guess if you like chicken, they're going to have a Chick-fil-A
Oh,
open.
yeah, they're gonna have the
by
Chick-fil-A
way.
now. Yes.
I hate that. But anyway,
Like, it's the sauces, Mike. We go for the sauces.
so maybe I'll get the sauce on the French fries.
You got to get the waffle fries and the sauce.
Okay.
You'll be fine.
And then there's a mall attached to it that has a whole epic food
Oh,
court.
yeah,
So,
everything.
yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe this year we should do that thing that you and Terry did, the boat, the airplane, all the
Oh, do the photo
selfies.
booth?
Oh, the
Yeah.
selfie,
The selfie store. I can imagine all the coaches like cramming into those selfie rooms. This is,
Yeah,
but with like our legitimate like film crew, like this is a great idea.
really. On the private jet heading to the summit.
Yeah, we'll all be crammed into the private jet.
Oh,
We'll
that's
see
funny.
you there. Hey, Mitch, you and I might be on a plane to Roatan together. I
I might be on the
haven't
same
booked
plane
it
for
yet,
Roatan.
so
Awesome.
not booked yet. But I got to talk to Dorina, and then
Cool.
if she says I have nothing booked that next week, maybe that's what I'll do. I'll take a little
Yeah, that's-
vacation post
That's
summit.
kind of a win-win.
deserve it.
Because I know, Gualter, you love to do your social media and that kind of stuff. So you're just going to be taking videos of my island, so I can.
I mean, that's great
that as
social media
content.
content.
Yep.
This is what you do after the summit.
Yep.
It is true.
Vacation
Hey,
time.
we just crushed it this year and take a little
Nice on.
vacation. So
Sure.
yeah,
We just
51 days to the summit.
Oh my God.
Been hitting the gym every single day. I'll be hitting the gym every day for 51 days straight.
Right, that's
my
I started
goal
at
is-
56.
I get to Roatan and Noah and I are joining the gym. We already know where the gym is. And like last night, nobody's here. Remember my wife?
Yep.
She's gone. And so it's just Noah and I. And we're like doing pull-ups and like, this is like 11 o'clock at night last night, push-ups and pull-ups and just getting all ripped. Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah. I told Amy this morning, I was like, Amy, if you want to go to the gym in the morning, she's like, I got to start doing weightlifting. I was like, you could come with me.
Yeah.
And I'll do, we'll do like, I'll show you how to work out. We can even put in 2 leg days. Of course, one of them, you're going to be all by yourself. And it's just like, no, I can work out arms too. And I was like, what makes you think all I do is work out arms? And she's like, because all you do is work out arms.
What makes you think that all I do is work
I
out?
don't know what you mean.
You do the little scratch.
As I'm like curling biceps, I'm just doing little tricep pulls. But so now I got to diversify my videos when I'm doing the
Right.
next every single story for the next couple of weeks as we get
Oh,
closer to the summit.
Do one on.
I may mix in a leg day.
Do one on like decline versus incline, because we were talking about decline push-ups, where you put your feet on a chair. But I want to see you do it with some weights in the
So
gym with
because
incline
I push
bench.
my arms so hard, I've actually had to just do flies. So now I'm
Oh,
doing
gotcha.
incline, decline flies. But yeah, I'll show you that. Yeah.
Okay.
Video
That's
coming
awesome.
soon. All right. So for everybody who's paying attention, remember the point is not to work, it's to generate income. If you are a sucker working in your business, don't give up hope. You can still change. You've got to go dig deep and you've got to create that. Well, Mitch, how do they do it?
They organize and they collect.
That's right. And Mike, what are we doing it for?
Yeah, we do it for massive income from passive income. But I will say, don't quit your job first. Come join us,
Oh.
but keep that job until we get you on your runway, and then you're flying. and then
Leverage
you
that
can-
job
Yeah.
to get the
leverage it.
runway nice and flowing.
Yep.
Look, you can tell me you don't want to be a millionaire. You can tell me you don't like my bald head, but don't tell me you don't got the money, the tickets, and the hotel to get to the 100 Millionaire Summit this year in Orlando, October 21st to the 23rd. We'll see you there. Cheers to your success. We have a choice.
Always
Always
work with the best. Peace. We are.
See you
Boom.
guys.
Bye, guys.
Crushed.